Thanks, Mike Wilbon, the Hall of Famer, Kendrick Perkins, the champion. Both of you are with me right now. Mike Wilbon, when we think about Game 3, we think about Booker and CP3 and what happened with them. What happened with them in Game 3? Devin Booker. How were they able to be defended like that, Devin Booker and CP3?
Rust, a mask, and hellacious defense. That's the formula. Okay. I mean, and you can start wherever you want. I mean, Devin Booker now has had a day and a practice to get accustomed to that mask. I mean, we know Rip Hamilton tried to talk him through some of the finer points of mask wearing. A lot of people thought, I know Jeff Van Gundy said this very pointedly before the game, that Chris Paul will be Chris Paul, but maybe not right away.
Right.
And he was completely right about that. We expect to see somebody closer to the Chris Paul in the second half and even earlier in the previous series tonight. But also that defense, Stephen A.
Yeah,
you mentioned it. I mean, those guys played great defense. I don't expect for that to change. So there's going to have to be some creativity on the part of Monty Williams, who we know can be that. And also on the part of Chris Paul for getting himself and Devin Booker to the spots that Booker spoke of.
Perk, how do you feel about that? Do you feel a duplicate performance could be put in Game 4 relative to what transpired in Game 3 against CP3 and Booker?
Well, I'm with Mike Wilbon on one of those parts for us with CP3 shaking the rust. But look, hey, listen, they got to find a way to get Devin Booker open, all right? Because right now, Patrick Beverly is on his heels like a pair of church socks. I hear him screaming first team all defense so loud, I got to put earplugs in my ear, and I'm watching the game from the house. Listen, he has to find a way to get going. Run him off of pin downs, having Ayton and Crowder setting better picks. Stephen A., you called him the second coming of Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was dropping 30 pieces with face masks.
I'm thinking about the rust that CP3 came into Game 3 with, right? And I'm thinking about Cameron Payne and how he had 29 points, 9 assists in 37 minutes without a single turnover in Game 2, but he was only able to play 4 minutes in Game 3 due to that ankle injury. Wilbon, you and I were watching him out here. He looks pretty healthy and ready to go. What kind of help do you think that will provide for CP3 and Booker in this game?
Well, first of all, remember, Monty can play them together.
Right.
He can, particularly that sort of takes care of the notion of the Clippers just going small and having some great advantage. They wouldn't. Cameron Payne, you and I have been watching him constantly. He's shooting deep threes like he'd been effective on in the previous series in these playoffs, going to the basket. I mean, he looks, there's nobody guarding him yet.
Right.
He looks pretty good right now. So they got to be encouraged about that after that 4-minute performance of the night. That's not going to get it, particularly when Chris Paul is still sort of playing his way back into his form.
Perk, what about you with that point I brought up about Cameron Payne? Real quick, what's your answer to that?
Well, he's going to help tremendously. I think when you look at their bench scoring for us with the Phoenix Suns, he's their go-to guy. Monty Williams has done a great job of actually implementing him as the six-man candidate. And with him going out in Game 3, I thought it hurt Phoenix tremendously. Him coming back in Game 4, this is why I got the Suns winning tonight, because of campaign help.
Wow. That's why I brought him up, because I'm thinking that he's got that kind of impact, and that's going to help CP3 and Booker to make sure they don't look the way that they look in Game 3. We shall...
Definitely more in the tank. We know we're focused on getting one more game. Got to go in there into a hostile environment, but the most important thing is figure out how we can be better from this game. I feel like we played well defensively. I got to play better offensively. We got to move the ball, find some easy shots. And the easy ones that we did have tonight, we felt like we'll go in next game. So unfortunate break, but we're ready for the challenge.
Yeah, Cam, you can go ahead.
Hey, Reggie. Obviously a tough loss. How difficult in the fourth quarter was it to generate? It was very difficult, obviously, to generate points. What was the challenge that as you saw it? Was it from what they were doing, or what from you guys were doing?
No, they were playing very solid defense. They were trying to force us, funnel us to certain spots on the court. But we felt like we had some good looks. It just didn't fall. Some of them that we did have, we passed up on them. So we just put ourselves in late shot clock situations at times, and then a couple key turnovers at the end. So we feel like we can be better, but we're going to watch the film, go out here, and our main focus is going to Phoenix in a hostile environment to get Game 5.
Thanks, Ray.
No problem.
Thanks. Joe Riddy.
Hey, Reggie, it seemed like in the fourth quarter, for 3-4 minutes, the game was stuck on 71-70 there. just those trips down the floor? Was it their defense?
We welcome in Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, and let the record show. Jeff said you have to at least take a look at it, and I agreed with you. That review late would have perhaps given the ball to the Clippers in a game, fellas, where it felt like the old school. Buckets came at a premium. I wonder, maybe, Jeff, if I could start with you. Is it good defense? Is it fatigue? What accounts for just how difficult it was for both teams to score there in the fourth?
Well, I think there's a lot of different reasons. I think fatigue is one. I think familiarity is another. And I think really good defense coupled with some missed opportunities where there were makeable shots. So I think you put it all together and you have, a hard-fought, ugly fourth quarter.
Mark, as a player or as a coach, I wonder, I just asked Devin about it. I mean, you've got the 16-point lead, and now you've got to dodge punches, or the Clippers could take a lead. They never were able to. When a team has so many chances to take the lead and they don't, what toll does that take on them, on the Clippers?
Well, it wears you down mentally and physically, and you lose some confidence. And that's what the Phoenix Suns defense did, and that's exactly what Chris Paul was talking about in that wire that you play. It was their defense that won the ball game, that made life tough for the Clippers to execute offensively.
This Clippers team, all credit to him. You got one of the best players in the world who's up in a box up there because he can't play because of his knee. They fought and they fought and they fought. At some point, I have to think human nature sets in. You look around and you go, are we going to beat these guys 3 in a row? I don't know. I'm not saying they can't. But Jeff, how do you summon the will to continue fighting when you're walking into a building on Monday night knowing what's on the table for Phoenix?
Well, I think that would be the biggest concern of Ty Lue, is that we don't subconsciously give in, that we fight and we persist. And if you do that and you come out of that win, then you have a chance to even it up at home. And all you want to do is, if you're the Clippers, is get it back for a Game 7. Give yourself an opportunity to do what many think is unthinkable. Last year, they were up 3-1 in the bubble and ended up losing to Denver. I don't think many people thought Denver could come back from that deficit. So I think if you're LA, you have history to look back on, that you could do the same sort of thing, and you have some talented players that can accomplish the goal.
And Scott, I think you get in trouble if you think, can we beat them 3 in a row? The question is, can we beat them on Monday? Let's take care of Monday and win the next game and give ourselves a chance to see a Game 6.
Mark, I'd like to just get one last thought from you, if I could, on Phoenix. How do you tap into all that's good about that building and the energy and the excitement without letting it be overwhelming? How do you channel it in a positive way with the opportunity that Monday brings?
They've been there before. I mean, you looked at Game 1 and Game 2, that building was absolutely incredible. The fans was on edge. It was exciting. They showed an appreciation for what this team and this coaching staff has done. So it's nothing new. Embrace it, celebrate it, acknowledge it, and then come prepared.
48 minutes with a chance to get to the NBA Finals. Gentlemen, we'll talk again after Monday. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
We will see you Monday night as well for Game 5. The Phoenix Suns, an opportunity to get to the NBA Finals. We're not done with Game 4 yet. Still to come.